Hi, my name is Nick Cohenmeyer, and today I'm going to be talking about something that somebody had recently asked me about. This is when can you use force to rescue a dog from someone else's car, specifically breaking the glass, using force to get that trapped animal out of the car. In California, which is where I'm licensed as an attorney, which is what this is going to fall under, California law, you can use force to rescue someone's dog, but don't stop the video yet. There are requirements that you must follow. Otherwise, you could face prosecution, or that in prosecution meaning committing a criminal act, and or be sued as a defendant in a civil trial from the plaintiff car owner, presumably the dog owner as well. So let's get into it. So when can it be against the law to leave an animal confined in a car? This is foundational because obviously the law is written primarily to prevent animal cruelty. And we're going to talk about when you can break the window to rescue the dog, which is part of the law that we're referring to, which is California Penal Code Section 597. Everything we're talking about today is under California Penal Code Section 597. So it can be against the law to leave an animal confined in the car. And the language of that penal code, of that statute, says that a person shall not leave or confine an animal in any unattended motor vehicle under conditions that endanger the health or well-being of an animal due to heat, cold, lack of adequate ventilation, or lack of food or water, or other circumstances that could reasonably be expected to cause suffering, disability, or death to the animal. So that's the basis for what you're not allowed to do as a dog owner or custodian. If you leave your dog unattended in a motor vehicle under conditions that are endangering the health or well-being of the animal due to the temperature or lack of food, lack of water, or any other circumstances that could reasonably be expected to cause suffering, disability, or death to an animal, then you've already violated California Penal Code Section 597, Section A. Now, when can it be legal to use force to rescue an animal from a motor vehicle? So that's what you're probably wondering if you're watching this video. Now, if you look at California Penal Code Section 597, again, all of these start with 597, then go down to Section B, subsection 1. Then it's talking about when you can use force. And the way they word it is kind of tricky. They say not prevented from. That's just the California legislature's fancy way of saying that you can, so long as you carefully follow the requirements. So under California Penal Code Section 597, B1, a person is not prevented from taking reasonable steps that are necessary to remove an animal from a motor vehicle if the person holds a reasonable belief that the animal's safety is in immediate danger from heat, cold, lack of adequate ventilation, lack of food or water, or other circumstances that could reasonably be expected to cause suffering, disability, or death to the animal. So we're going to use similar language like that a couple times in this statute. So 6 steps to avoid criminal liability for rescuing a suffering animal from a car. So a person who removes an animal from a vehicle in accordance with paragraph 1 of what's the law? You should know it by now. Say it with me. California Penal Code Section 597. So a person who removes an animal from a vehicle in accordance with paragraph 1 is not criminally liable for actions taken reasonably and in good faith if the person does all of the following 6 steps. Now, that's not verbatim language from the statute. That's me kind of paraphrasing, but these are the required 6 steps that you would have to undertake if you want to avoid criminal liability because you are damaging someone's property and ostensibly taking their pet. So this is why you can do this as long as you follow these steps, and you won't face criminal liability, won't face criminal prosecution. Hopefully you won't face civil litigation, but there's no guarantee you won't at least be sued, but this will presumably shift the balance in your favor by showing you acted in good faith with the statute if you follow these steps. So first, determine the vehicle is locked or there is no reasonable manner for the animal to be removed from the vehicle. Now, just because the vehicle is unlocked doesn't mean the dog is automatically going to understand how to open a door, especially on modern cars like Teslas, which have buttons to open the door. It's not necessarily that if you left the car closed but unlocked, then there's no problem. No, it's still a problem because the dog, we're mostly talking about dogs here. Most people don't leave their cat or their parrot just alone in their car when they're gone shopping. So dogs mostly are going to be in the car, not having the ability to open the door, even though the door is unlocked. So that's why it says determine the vehicle is locked or there's otherwise no reasonable manner for the animal to be removed from the vehicle. Now, this is, again, really honing in on this one element. The reason that they're saying there's otherwise no reasonable manner for the animal to be removed is that what you're going to be doing next is breaking the glass. You're going to be breaking the door somehow to gain entry. Now, if there was a reasonable method short of breaking the glass to gain entry, then you had to have used it. You have to first make that determination that there was no other way to open the door other than using force. In other words, but for this force, there was no other way to rescue the dog. Next, have a good faith belief that forcible entry into the vehicle is necessary because the animal is in immediate danger of suffering harm if it is not immediately removed from the vehicle, and based upon the circumstances known to the person at the time, the belief is a reasonable one. So, a few things, and there's sub-elements within this second element. You have to have a good faith belief that forcible entry into the vehicle is necessary, and the animal needs to be suffering, imminent danger if not immediately removed from the vehicle. And based upon those limited circumstances known to the person at the time, we're not talking in retrospect that, I should have known that the dog had, dog mode on the Tesla that was keeping him cool. I couldn't have known at the time. There was no way for me to tell. So it had to have been reasonable at the time that those elements existed. Third, you have to do this. You have to contact a local law enforcement agency or the fire department or animal control, just authorities, before you forcibly enter the vehicle. So don't get all, zealous about, I'm going to just break that window because I see a dog in there. You have to go through this orderly, methodical approach. Otherwise, you'd have chaos in society. Every time someone sees a dog in a car, they would just, bring out their glass shattering knife and hit the stock of it, break the glass, rescue dog. To be good intention perhaps, but it'd be chaos. So that's why they want this orderly. And you're not going to take the dog home. You're going to stay with the dog. And I'll talk about that in a moment. So you have to remain with the animal in a safe location, out of the elements, but reasonably close to the vehicle until a peace officer, humane officer, animal control officer, or another emergency responder arrives. You're not taking the dog home. You're just getting it out of that imminent danger. Maybe, give it some water if you have something in your car, but you have to stay with the car where you found the dog. And yes, you might be concerned that, well, what if the owner comes? Well, yeah, I have a feeling in most cases you're going to exchange words. I would be quite displeased if someone took my dog erroneously thinking they were, my dogs were under duress when they were just hanging out in the Tesla and dog mode was on, or they're in a Sprinter and the air conditioning was going on and off as the thermostat deemed it necessary. But I'd also be understanding that, look, you're trying to rescue a stranded animal. You don't know me, you don't know my dog. It was just something that you did to protect an innocent animal from suffering. So I wouldn't be too mad. I'd understand. But if we could have avoided the damage to my car to begin with, that would be great. And that's what the essence of this statute is. It's don't use force unless it's necessary. And if it is necessary, then follow the steps. Fifth, and there's 6 steps, so we're almost done. Use no more force than necessary to enter the vehicle and remove the animal from the vehicle than was necessary under the circumstances. So you have to use reasonable force, nothing more than that. If there's, an easier way to gain entry to the vehicle, such as by just breaking out one of the windows, there's no need to break out the windshield or any other glass windows if you could have done it with one. And then lastly, 6 of 6 steps. And this is, what is the name of the statute of the penal code? Section 597, we're in subsection F, like Foxtrot. So sixth step, immediately turn the animal over to a representative from law enforcement, animal control, or another emergency responder who responds to the scene. Now, hopefully the authority figure that you called will arrive before the owner does, because that's going to be a little contentious. But the reason why you hope that's the police coming is that there are penalties for the owner for violating the statute. Now, it starts out small, and I'll talk about that next. So the potential punishments for violators of California Penal Code Section 597 would be as follows. So unless the animal suffers great bodily injury, a first conviction for violation of the section is punishable by a fine not exceeding $100 per animal. Now, if the animal suffers great bodily injury, a violation of this section is punishable by a fine not exceeding $500, imprisonment in a county jail not exceeding 6 months, or by both a fine and imprisonment. And then any subsequent violation of this section, regardless of injury to the animal, is also punishable by a fine not exceeding $500, imprisonment in a county jail not exceeding 6 months, or by both a fine and imprisonment. So those are the punishments if you are the owner of that animal who committed that cruel act by leaving your dog, usually a dog, in a car, and it's usually in the heat, but it could be in freezing weather and there's no heat. So to summarize, the applicable conditions for rescue are that there's conditions that endanger the animal, and there's a reasonable belief that reasonable steps are necessary to remove the animal from the life-threatening conditions. And then if those conditions are met, then you have to ensure that you met the following 6 steps. In other words, if in case that wasn't clear, make sure these prerequisite conditions are met first, applicable conditions for rescue. And if they are, then you have to follow the additional 6 steps of ensuring that the vehicle is locked or there's no other way to reasonably open the vehicle without force. Use reasonable steps, reasonable belief. You contacted the authorities. You remained with the animal until the authorities arrive. Use the minimal necessary force to rescue the animal. And when the authorities arrived, you transferred custody of the animal to authorities. Now, there are multiple different ways that lawyers might interpret this. One of the questions might be, well, what happens if the owner shows up before the authorities do? Are you obligated to hand the animal over? Well, according to the statute, you could argue that, no, I'm only handing this animal over to the authorities. And that could put you, not just the animal, but put you at risk, because someone might have a reasonable belief that you are damaging their property and stealing their personal property. And generally, animals are considered personal property. So it's like stealing a bike. So they might feel that it's reasonable to use force to recover their personal property that you are essentially taking from them. And then one final word about Teslas in dog mode. I think this is something that most people didn't realize in the years past. Maybe some people still don't know about Tesla dog mode. This is a feature available on just about all new Tesla vehicles, and it helps to protect your pet when you have to leave your pet alone in the car. Now, it's not foolproof. You shouldn't do this if you have a better option, but if you don't want to bring your dog into a place you're not supposed to bring him into, and hopefully you're not pretending your dog's a service dog, so you leave your dog in the car. And what this does is it keeps your pet safe and comfortable by providing air conditioning or heat, and more importantly, a prominent display on the big screen on your Tesla, letting passersby know that your pet is safe and the owner will be back soon. And it also monitors the interior temperature of your vehicle to ensure that it stays cool, even on really hot days. And if your Tesla has the full array of outside cameras, it allows you to visually check on the status of your pets inside, because it has an interior camera in the new models, to see if the dogs are resting or restless. And then you can use those outside cameras to see if someone's peering in the window. If they're about to break your window, you can talk to them using the microphone. So it's a really great car as a pet owner. I love it. I also have a Mercedes Sprinter, and that's great for other things. But you can definitely park the Tesla in more places. And I use that camera a lot. This is actually a picture of my Tesla and my dogs. Not to brag, obviously, I hope that's obvious. I'm just showing how this works in the real world, because I'm pretty sure my dogs don't mind having their photograph taken. So if you found this helpful, please let me know. Let me know if there's other topics you'd like me to cover. And if you would like to hire me, here's my QR code to reach my website. I'm Nick Cohen-Meyer. I hope you found this helpful. This is just general information. This is not legal advice specific to any one client or any one case. If you do need to talk to an attorney, then you need to talk to an attorney. Don't get your legal advice from YouTube. Thank you for watching. Let me know how I can improve. Or if you just liked it and wanted to say thanks.